Beginning of wisdom is to acquire wisdom, and with all that acquiring, get an understanding. That is Proverbs 4 and 7, which brings us to Bible tip number one: is find a Bible translation that works for you. I started out with King James, and I could not get through the hollows and the thous and the thits at the end of those sentences. Okay, and so I moved over to New Living Translation, but I want to take a minute to just help break down the differences between all these translations and hopefully help you find one that you are comfortable with and that will help you in your study. So there are word for word translations, and these Bibles are your King James, your New King James, your English Standard Versions, and your New American Standard versions. Now, what do those word for word mean? That means that, okay, first of all, scripture is written in three different languages. All right. Old Testament is in Hebrew mostly, and then some Aramaic, and then the New Testament is written in Greek. And so word for word translations will take those words and then they will translate it in your language word for word as closely as they can possibly get it. Sometimes not quite what the word is, but as close as they can possibly get it. Now, there are thought for thought Bibles out there, and these are your New Living Translations, your New International Revised and New International Version. But basically, what that means is that it might not be word for word, but we're going to keep the meaning and the thought behind the scripture intact. Okay, and you do have paraphrase Bibles who are going to just put it to you in the language and the way we talk on today. Now, let me read you the difference between all of these with Proverbs 4 and 7. So the first thing we read was New American Standard. Here it is in King James. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get an understanding. And in New Living Translation, it says, getting wisdom is the wisest thing that you can do. And whatever else you do, develop good judgment. Listen to it in the Message. Above all, and before all, do this: get wisdom. Write this at the top of your list: get an understanding. So those are three different versions, from thought for thought and paraphrase, and from word for word. All of them still keep the message intact. Okay, but if you're studying the Bible, you want to get one that you can definitely understand. If you're teaching the Bible, I would go with word for word. Now, I use a New Living Translation. This was my very first Bible, as you can see. Once I switched over, look, it just has like commentary at the bottom, a lot of context and different information that helped me truly understand scripture. But when I am teaching scripture, I do use BibleHub.com, which is not a sponsor, but has so many great tools like a parallel Bible. And I put that scripture in and I compare my scriptures there to make sure I'm not missing anything. And so that is what I would advise you to do. If you're like, I'm not sure what Bible version to use, I will put my favorite scripture in, and then I will read it in word for words, and I will read it in the thought for thoughts, and see which one you can understand. All right. I hope that helps.